quantities just in case I couldn't get my 4 files.
So it actually text that's actual. Really?
Same thing that you see on
But the thing is, so like, yeah, like, so, you know, my wife and I talk about like, so sometimes people have like things happen, like, so but if a doctor looks at that, and they actually see the last like 20 years, yeah, they can say, well, you know, it wasn't looking like it was bad for the last like, maybe it really see right, you know, versus what's getting up to a certain number, you know, threshold. No, that's cool. Like, you actually get the image process to see what is it.
That is me and medical device, and then I'd have to wait 6 months for somebody to try to do it.
Yeah, well, they got a dabble one. They got just the
The rest of it.
medical features on it.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, I'm Brandon, manager, and
Is the sound good?
It's okay.
Is it too loud or too small?
That was fine in terms of audio level. It's a bit teeny, but I think that's because you had it recorded there.
Team voice alone, and signing off. It's live.
Also, there's no speaker, there's no QR.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So if you, yeah, like there's two. Okay.
I won't be needing you to because I didn't get it rendered fast enough, so I'm just gonna do it live.
That's fine. That's fine. He's not going to. Oh yeah. I'll do it. Yeah. He's doing like I would do that. I'll tap it. Guys, you can hear us on the other way.
Yeah, perfect.
Do you remember what they said?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got my son too. Fresh.
Well, I'm always very good about decorating somehow, like when I was in Detroit, Ford building all the exact same model like coming out.
Oh, yeah, right, which one's mine?
I have lost laptops.
No, we, are you still working on it?
Yeah, when I went to buy it.
I actually destroyed one of my last house when I worked there. We had to do the, everything over time schedule. And I had the little RF card inside. I had on the roof of my van. And this is a tough look. This is a tough look. And I didn't realize it, but somebody stopped me like, 5 minutes later, like, insurance will do your car that fell off. And I was like, what? What's that? You guys destroyed the hard drive, the intersections, the screen cracked all over it. Still working? So I did the music cruise, I did a lot of yeah, really? Michigan?
I was in the complex. So
I did like Ohio, I did Ohio, I did like Ohio.
I was primarily based in Michigan, but I did stuff all over.
Oh, yeah, I didn't do the travel.
So I was mostly military financial sector.
Sweet. Really? I did a lot, I did like all the Home Depot, Walmart. Mortgage, make one more small business. They have a cool smart business. Yeah, I did that for 2.5 years before I got laid off.
What years?
And I'm like,
I was there in 2000.
yeah,
It's on the
I was
website.
there until, like, I took 15 years coming up. So yeah, I probably knew you. And I knew all the taxes.
Yeah.
My dad worked there too, he was the manager for me. Actually, he was like, for the longest time.
Yeah, I was.
Awesome, we were there at the same time. Alright. Yeah, we used to, I don't know, sometimes I used to be in the training class. I did
Essentially, like, it was like 5 more SEC creators more, but that's the stuff I did. I did like really big ones. So I did like thinking of financial.
Each pitch is about 20 minutes.
10. Sorry, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. With the setup time between us.
Sweet.
Yes, I am, sorry. Is yours great?
Yeah, we can say.
Okay, great.
I didn't get,
It doesn't need to be me anymore. It used to be me. Basically, like clean the house in case somebody didn't do that. Because, yeah,
Land in Detroit,
saying, you know, I back in the day. But, you know what, your whole night's not screwed up, you can drive it back at midnight. But if your day started, if you get it at 6, so it's like,
The other side of the like TV on, just like seizure robot hour or something like that. I tried also like the comfort plus whatever, and no, not even available. Like, not even
this one that we were on, we had 3 rows on the side, and this one went back like 50 miles.
We're all good.
Oh, he's back?
You guys are right.
I'm just looking at one beauty.
So if it's in the playlist, it'll go one day off further. So you got 2 doing live Dale, Mike first and then Dale, and then the 2 other recorded times of this were in.
Yeah, that's it. So it'll be re-recorded, yes.
Okay.
My brother, yeah, lives there.
I'm just getting it uploaded now and then I'll get it all in. So it's just making sure.
I don't think it's Ipsy,
Yeah.
it's not the Detroit, it's the Metro Airport.
Yeah, so Detroit, that was a passenger, like that's, it's not Detroit Airport, that's DTW.
Okay.
Actual Detroit DET is like the one downtown. That's where all the cars stuff is.
Yeah, he flies like the DC-9.
I'm gonna wait to see something.
We're just waiting on Megan. There's no need to be quiet. No nervous anticipation. Once Megan walks in, we'll get going. Should we all clap? I think we should. Okay?
One of them is but it's mostly like underneath. It's not
Okay. Too sophisticated. I haven't uploaded it yet though.
Sorry?
I haven't uploaded the video yet, it's still processing.
Oh, okay.
So, well, actually, I've got the URL, so just give me a minute.
Yeah.
Pardon? Okay.
Yeah.
Want to read it too? I gotta leave my work to go. I got 15-inch now.
St. Mary's?
No, it's, I have to wait till it's finished processing. I need to add it to a playlist because you can't add a video that isn't processed to a playlist. Because Google's changed how still processing, unfortunately.
The guy goes to the apron on the
Yeah, 4 minutes left. Medi's supposed to be 1 minute away.
Oh, okay. Please do it. I walked by and peeked in, I thought you were talking about SBC. That was probably almost towards the end.
Yeah, we're kind of blowing through that.
See if you can see it in the list.
You teach in there too, that's cool.
Yeah.
It won't shouldn't play well as it's still processing. I didn't know it's in standard definition.
Because it says 32.
Yeah.
Really just not.
I think this is a real pain.
Pretty good detail on this.
Regardless, it'll be over there.
Terminology, just so
One way or another.
start talking about this, like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Still a couple of minutes.
Hi, I'm Brandon Patrick, and we're here from.
Now don't forget, we have the URL there, we have a photo album. If you've been taking any pictures, please add them. Nathan, thank you for adding them. There we go. A round of applause, please. Excellent. Let me just press the code button on this one. Okay, welcome everybody to the pitch session. So we're mixing things up a little bit this time. Normally go through the in-person and the remotes, but what we're going to do is a couple of the remotes ran out of time, so they didn't get the videos done, but we're going to, because we have Alliance Spaces, we're going to do some real-time pitch from Dale and Mike. So they're going to do theirs. We're then going to go through some 3 videos that were sent in from teams around the world for their remote pitches, and then we're going to come back here to Phoenix, and then we're going to go through the rest of the in-person pitches. With the 2 groups that asked to be last and second to last. So without further ado, shall we get Mike up on the...
Mike, can you share your screen? Oh, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm sure now. Sorry, it was hard to hear you a little bit. But.
All right, you're good to go. You can go up first. So Mike Clarence is going up first with this group. Introduce yourself and go ahead.
Hi, my name is Mike Carnes. I'm here to present the food bot. So, my idea was, I'm getting a bad echo.
Oh, can you mute?
I'll mute. Yeah.
All right.
It's not going to say he's...
Are you guys hearing the echo? Or is it just me?
You're good now. Go ahead.
Okay. So, the problem I was trying to tackle was there's a big problem with food waste across the whole country. 40% of all food in the U.S. is never eaten. 1 in 8 Americans struggle to put food on the table. So my thought was, what if we could take those extra food and get it to the people that need it quickly? in a local geographic area. So that was my hack. So what did I put together? I want to find, this is what I was mentioning earlier, I want to reduce food waste, decrease the carbon footprint. Food waste produces a lot of methane that is impactful on the environment, plus it's a waste of food. So this is basically what I'm doing, and I'll move on. So these are some of the things that my hack will impact. So the idea was to feed hungry kids, eliminate school waste, possibly, work in healthcare for nutrition, waste food from hospitals, all these things that you can see listed. I'm not going to list them off all to you. So finally, what technology did I use? So to accomplish this, I created a chat bot using Dialogflow API to create my food bot, and I used Avaya's OneCloud SMS API to send the text to the user when the food is available. So let me go in, and I'll just go on to the demo. All right, so this is my personal phone. I've got it mirrored right here. These are my chat bot. So there's two things. There's the people that need to provide food. Then there's the people that need food. So I'll start with providing some food. So I'm going to donate some food. What food would I like to share? I'm going to share hamburgers. And I am the food bank in Phoenix there, so I'm going to say Phoenix Food Bank. What time would you like to pick it up? I'm going to say 4 p.m. today. Who will we pick up contact? So my name is Judy, so I will. Thanks for donating. So that interaction is done. So now, I'm going to go over here. I'm the person that needs food. So I'm going to come over here to this. Let's move this out of the way. I'm hungry and looking for food. Okay. So now, the next thing I'm going to do is, where are you at, right? So where are you currently located? I am in Phoenix. What's my zip code? I don't know my zip code. I'm going to make one up. So I'm going to put 7, 8. I'll choose my zip code. What is your first name? Mike. What is your phone number where you receive the text? 830-469-2434. Now I'm going to hit enter. Oh, you will receive a text when the food item becomes available. Oh, not that one. You don't want that. So you should see here in a second, you should get, it's on my phone, but it hasn't refreshed up here yet. There it is. Your hamburgers are ready at the Phoenix Food Bank. Please meet with Judy before 4 p.m. today. And go back to our organization. That's basically all I got done at the time. There's some other enhancements I wanted to make, like I wanted to have secondary contacts if the first person's not available, and some other things like that that I thought through in my thing, but that's about all I got to for this particular one. So let me share it. And I just want to thank the sponsors. I tried to use everything. I tried to use all the resources I could. I use GitHub to store all my code. I use a Firebase database with a Firebase the functions in the cloud. I've never used any of this stuff. This is all new to me. Everything I use was completely brand new, so it took me a lot longer than it might have. So, all right. I guess my 5 minutes is probably up by now.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mike. Great job, Mike. So,
You guys hear me?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mike. We appreciate it.
okay, so we'll move on to Dale. Dale, can you hear us?
Dale, we'll move on. Dale, we're going to move on to you.
Testing 1, 2, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
share screen. Sorry. Oh. You've tried that before? But in the Chrome extension.
Yeah, you need to install a Google Chrome extension.
Yep. Oh. Yeah, this is. I'm using two separate sessions. I need to install. I need to install this on the one share the screen on the extension. I'm not sure. Let me switch to.
We can also
Share to
YouTube videos.
Yeah, I had installed the Chrome plugin before it worked for me too, so I did the same thing.
So what we'll do is we're going to skip ahead to the YouTube videos and we'll come back to you there. All right. So yeah, we're gonna skip ahead to the YouTube videos and then we're gonna come back to you. So get you all situated and then we'll come back.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, perfect.
Hi, I'm Braden, I'm Andrew, and we're here from Team VoiceFlow for the hackathon. And so we built the My Guardian project, and what My Guardian is supposed to do is essentially be sort of an elderly care assistant that works on multiple different channels. So SMS, IVR, so sort of.
Hold on. Hello? Yeah, we're going to come back to you. Just give us a second here.
Okay, cool. No problem. Thank you.
Sort of using the via CPaaS, as well as Alexa and Google Assistant. And so how we hook this all up is we're using VoiceFlow to actually build out the interface. And so that's what you can see on my screen here. We have a whole bunch of conversational logic. And then essentially what it's doing is when the user comes on, it's going to onboard them. From there, we have three basic functions right now. So we have the ability to set up pill reminders, the ability to get help, and the ability to set birthday reminders, just some pretty basic functionality. And so this all feeds into a series of Google Sheets that you can see here. So we have, this looks like birthdays, but essentially we're using this Google Sheets almost like a database, just for this small little project, and that's what allows us to have persistence across all the different assistants, as well as SMS and IVR, because we're always feeding all the information into the Google Sheet, and then from there, all the other assistants are picking from the Google Sheet to have persistent information, even though it's on different assistants. So we'll test it on Alexa here, actually on device. We've already uploaded it. So let's do that. Okay. Alexa, open My Guardian.
Welcome back to My Guardian, Braden. How can I help you?
Help me remember birthdays.
What birthdays would you like to remember?
My grandson Michael's birthday on July 6th.
I'll remind you about your grandson Nicholas's birthday on July 6, 2020. Any other birthdays to remember?
Yes.
Great. Whose birthday should I remember?
My daughter Sarah's birthday on January 20th.
I'll remind you about your daughter Cyrus's birthday on January 20th, 2021. Any other birthdays to remember?
No.
Would you like any more help?
Yes.
What else can I help you with?
I need help.
What has happened?
I've fallen and I cannot get up. Oh, let's try that one again. Cool. Alexa, open My Guardian.
Welcome back to My Guardian, Braden. How can I help you?
I need help.
What has happened?
I've fallen in the bathroom.
Your guardian has been alerted. We will take care of you very soon. Your loved one is also been sent a text message. Would you like any more help?
Here, I'm going to get a phone call and a text message, so I'm going to answer the phone call as the guardian. Put it on speaker.
Guardian needs your help. Please silence in the bathroom. Please make sure the phone is okay.
Great, so I got a phone call and a text message to my phone number, and I'm alerted about my guardian or my loved one who needs help. Yeah, and so that's all being persistent in using Google Sheets, and we also have this running on Alexa, it's right on the Google. So if I say like, hey Google, open my Guardian app.
Let's get the test version of my Guardian app. Whose birthday would you like to know?
Michael.
Zero's birthday is on undefined. Would you like any more help?
No. Well, I didn't work out, but so that's how we have the two apps running right now. We do have that persistent sort of Google Sheet in the back, and I would go for pill reminders, but it's pretty similar to birthday reminders. So I've got one in here. You can see that this looks like a bit of a mess, but essentially.
Birthdays would you like to remember?
Thank you, stop. And so here you can see that essentially we're asking them what time you want to remember your pills. We're actually setting calendar reminders, and then we'll also send them a text message if they forget to take their pills. And then the last piece of functionality we have, which is it's on a timer, so we can't really show it, is in here we have an SMS reminder where if the user does not use the app for 2 days, we'll send a text message to their caregiver just to tell them to check in. And so that is the My Guardian app. If we had a couple more hours, it would have been fully polished, but we did our best in the hackathon time we had. Thanks so much. And this is for the healthcare category. Thanks so much for Team VoiceFlow, and yeah, signing off. Thanks a lot.
This is Juan Pablo.
So that was Braden from Team VoiceFlow. The next one here is from
Colombia. So it's the InfoTrans group. So they introduce themselves.
Okay.
This is Pablo.
This is Carlos.
And this is Marco. He's going to the airport right now, so he cannot be with us. We are the Urban's team. I read, but I don't speak. And this is a submission in the education category. This is Bogota, or rather, this is a picture of the skyline in Bogota, the capital city of Colombia in South America. There are more than 8 million people in the city and almost 50 million people in the country. All of us speak Spanish. Some of us speak English. A lot of us would like to speak English better. When inquire about their knowledge of English, a lot of people here in the country will say, I read, but I don't speak. I can read it, but I can't speak it. I have to try to speak. I'm afraid of my accent. I have to take an accent, or it's hard for me to articulate words. And so this expression, I read, but I don't speak, IRBID, gives the name to our group, and is the core of our idea. We use Avaya Cloud Platform as a service available at cloud.sang.io, and this is what we did. We created a phone application that asks you to repeat a phrase that we created a service to create, and then checks via artificial intelligence with Watson how much alike the phrase was to what you said. With that, it gives you a grade, and you can then see the result on an SMS or see the result on a website. First, we get a welcome screen, then we ask, hey, this is the phrase. Then we go and get the phrase. We created a web service to get this phrase from our system. Then the phrase is repeated, and it is a little bit slow so that it's easy to understand, so that it's easy to repeat. Then we tell the user, okay, repeat. Then we record what he's saying. Then we repeat what he said back to him. And then we check. This one here, we check against Watson. And with that, we write back the result
and check how many times he has tried, and continue the process a few more times if he so chooses. With that, let's go and call it. We're going to use Skype to make the call. This is the number. This number is available as long as we have balance in the CPAS account. This number will work.
Please listen and repeat the following sentence.
Do you like the book?
Please listen and repeat the following sentence.
Do you like the book?
Do you like the book?
This is what you said.
Do you like the book?
We are checking your pronunciation. Your score for this sentence was 0 points, and you have tried for 1 time. For the next sentence, press 1. We are sending the results by SMS to your phone. Thanks for using our service.
This is the page you can check. Here, you can see all of your results and play the audios.
Do you like the book?
Here you can see how your score has been and where you are, what's your position. You could do a lot more things with this platform. You could, for instance, create conferences between students, or you could schedule a conference with a teacher and a student. So there is really no limit to what the capabilities this platform gives.
Well, round of applause. And the last one has only just arrived in from Miko, so please play it.
I'm Team Excel Labs, and my name is Miko Haro. I'm based in Austin, Texas. I have worked on the Arizona Food Bank mobile application or client that runs on the Android operating system for the TADHack-hackathon. Essentially, the mobile application will be used to find food banks around the state of Arizona, and it can be used as a regular mobile application or as an intelligent digital assistant powered by Dialogflow from Google. This is what the registration screen looks like. A user will be able to enter email address, personal phone number, and then put in the password and confirming. Then once the user signs up, what happens next is that a confirmation code will be sent to the device of the user, and if the user is able to key in this code within 5 minutes and the user is successful, the user will be able to have access to the entire application. Anything beyond 5 minutes, then a phone call will be made to the user's phone. So for sending the confirmation code, the mobile application is using the Avaya SMS service, and then for the phone call that occurs after 5 minutes, the application is using the Avaya voice service. Now let's get to the demo. So the user launches the application, and then the user will log in. So once the user logs in, the user will have access to different features within the application. The first one is being able to find a food bank by location using the list view of Android. The second one is finding the location of a food bank using the map view. And thirdly, the user will be able to have a dialogue, a conversation with an AI agent to find out various information about the food banks in Arizona. So real quick, so these are some of the, so a user can chat with the chatbot, have a conversation with the chatbot that is powered by Dialogflow from Google. The user can, for example, search by zip code or city or county and so on. The user can also filter information based on different programs like Foodbox and Soup Kitchen, etc. So what I've done basically is to take the data from this website and then add some of them into a spreadsheet form. So for the roadmap, this will be transferred or exported to a relational database like MySQL database or PostgreSQL, and then behind the database will be an API service that queries this data based on request from a user having a conversation with the virtual agent, and also request from the client application. Now there are other programs being offered by the Arizona Association of Food Banks, so the user will have access to information about those programs. And next one is the ability to send feedback. The user will be able to send feedbacks using the application. And last is finding information about the Arizona Food Bank itself. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you so much, Nico. Okay, so hopefully, yep, so we don't want to see that, that's just seeing ourselves again. So now we'll move back to Dale, and hopefully Dale's got the plugin uploaded.
Hey Dale, are you there?
One sec. No, missing. Yeah, no, we can, so, okay, yeah, I'm here.
You want to share your screen?
Sure. Yes, yeah. Just launching the projection, but we could start.
Because we're under Hey Dale, we're under a really tight timeline, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut into the in-person pictures now, and we'll come back to you at the very end. Is that okay?
You broke up a bit. Repeat that.
We need to move on because we're on a tight timeline, so we're going to go to the in-person pictures, and we'll come back to you later, okay? Oh.
Okay, no problem. Can I just start sharing notes?
Yeah, go for it, go for it, go for it.
Yeah, you can go for it then. We see your screen now. Perfect. All right, Dale, you can go ahead anytime you're ready.
Is that me?
Yes, that's you.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so I had some errors that popped up at the last minute, so just but go ahead with the in-person pitches. This should be straightforward to sort out. There was just an error that popped up when I was testing the last pitch here. There's just some references that I need to add to the
Okay,
Sure. We'll come back to you then.
over to you.
Okay.
You want to look at
Yes.
Okay, your lights by the way. Yeah, there's always setup time. And the great thing is we just edit this out.
Guys, stop.
Great. I believe so. Start.
Go for it. Oh, wait a sec.
Yep, you might. All right, microphone. All right, I'm Nick Kwiatkowski. I work on a project to communication enable business process a remote EKG. So part of my project here is I built a little device here, an IoT device that is an actual EKG reader. So I am actually wearing a wire here. You see, an actual EKG. So this unit here is, let me see here. Start with the problem domain. So healthcare workers relying on local alarming of critical patients. So if you go to a typical ICU or healthcare system or something like that, a lot of times you'll see EKG units connected up to the patient. So when I say EKG, these are going to be heart sensors essentially. So they're going to be judging the rhythmic motions of the heart through electrical sensors. Right now, EKGs are mainly read by triage nurses and doctors and all stuff in real time to determine if a further diagnosis is required for patients. So really what's happening is either on a screen or on a ticker tape or sometimes in certain healthcare applications they can read these EKG signals to figure out if, is the heart working correctly, is it firing at the right time, all that type of stuff. So my solution is to build a portable, small, and instant electrocardiogram sensor that is workflow enabled. So the device itself is actually a 4G LTE device connected to send real-time data into the cloud. If certain criteria are met, it's actually going to trigger a workflow that can either escalate to a doctor or a triage nurse or something like that. It allows the doctor then to ask the EKG additional information. For example, the doctor may be able to ask for, send me a copy of that EKG of the last 30 seconds or something like that, and you actually get an MMS right to their phone, and continue getting them, to do further diagnosis when they're not directly connected to the units. They can also escalate, so the system right now will also escalate to a conference call over multiple people that can be selected by the unit. So, for example, the doctor gets the call saying, hey, a person is in alarm. It can automatically go into a conference call that can bring in certain people to start the triage process while they're further away from the patient. One of the things that this will also be able to do is to do some automatic sensing of EKG patterns, run through an AI system to figure out what is normal and what is not. That's a piece I didn't get fully finished in this weekend, but I did start on that piece. So, the actual architecture, I've got a particle boron LTE unit. Again, that's this little thing over here on the circuit board. It's talking to the particle cloud, which is going to a mediation server, supposed to be on the Google Cloud platform. From there, if the certain criteria are met, it will then push a notification out to me via cloud, whereas placing a phone call, doing text messaging, the MMS, and all the other things. Bringing in conferencing and all that type of stuff as well. So let's go to a live demo. I'm going to start by connecting this unit up here just for power. By the way, the unit itself can actually be powered by a little battery. This battery over here lasts about 15 days or so without a recharge on the LT device. If it's connected to Wi-Fi or things like that, it can be almost 30 days. So let me go and connect things up here. Just a moment. And while the unit is booting up, my USBs always go the wrong way. So I'm going to show that it is actually processing an EKG. So just a moment here. And this is a application that is actually reading from an MQQT queue here to actually show my real EKG as I'm standing here. So unfortunately, this is just a 3-wire sensor, so if I'm moving around, you'll actually see it go kind of weird. But it is showing right now that there's a heart rate of 126, which is because I'm standing and talking and all that. But this over here is the live sensor and all that type of stuff talking to it. So I'm going to close this out here because it kind of messes up some of the other processes in the background while I'm in that diagnosis mode. So, if I'm in a situation where I'm getting my heartbeat sense and all that type of stuff remotely, right now it is in normal mode, so because my heart rate is fairly normal right now, it's not going to trigger, but I'm actually going to go and push the criteria down quite a bit. So right now the threshold is, let's see here, I'm going to go set my threshold down to 30 beats per minute as something to alarm out on. So it's going to go send that out, and I'll actually see through my queue over here, it's going to actually start placing a phone call in a moment. And we'll see. Maybe. Oh, come on. Or maybe not. Let's do this a little faster. Hold on. So I actually have a way to manually set what that trigger is. Oh, there it goes. So it's actually triggering right now. And my handy dandy phone down over here, I've got it via phone. I'm going to go pick up.
This is the heart monitor calling. Patient number at 123 is an alarm. The current heart rate is 182. What would you like to do with this call? You can escalate to another person. Ask for a text of the EKG.
Text.
I am sending a text message with a copy of the EKG. Respond back to the message to escalate to others. Thank you.
So that just hung up the call. Now what's actually happening in the background is my mediation server is pulling together the last 30 seconds of my EKG, and it just sent a message, which I can pull up over here, and this is actually right on my live phone. You can see that on here as well, so the doctor can get some information here of what's actually going on in real time. I can continue, I can respond back to this, and it can escalate, it can go bring a bunch of people into a conference call, it can do logging of this data and all that. So, that is, so for future updates, of course, I do want to continue bringing this into the Azure machine learning to learn what the normal, a patient's normal heart rhythm is. Every patient has a slightly different heart rhythm. They all basically look the same. But like, for example, mine is slightly different than everybody else in the room here. So trying to trigger out like what is abnormal for a particular patient and then triggering on that as opposed to just heart rate or for a minimum or maximum, things like that. So that's all I have. Thank you.
That was excellent, Nick. Thank you so much. So, MRTB team, if you can come on down and get yourself set up, please.
Okay, so let me do.
There we go.
Okay, so we might be the only ones who didn't do a PowerPoint, but maybe make our presentation a little shorter. But the solution the problem that we tried to solve, we went a little broad, but basically we went with a multi-channel chatbot. And what we noticed today is that there's multiple problems that a lot of customers face, a lot of organizations face with their customers. And we're going to try and touch on at least 3 here, and that's multi-channel, engagement, and also some automation, self-serve. So we set this up with SMS and voice, and we've used Dialogflow with Google, and we can interact with our bot seamlessly between the 2 different channels. So the first thing we'll do is, you want to call and test it at 1. We'll do a couple of quick examples here, so you get an idea of the mechanisms that we have in place here.
How can I help you?
I'd like to set an appointment
What day?
tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Sorry, that time is not available. Do you want a different time?
Wednesday at 9 a.m.
Sorry, that time is not available. Do you want a different time?
Tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Please confirm if tomorrow at 9 a.m. is correct.
Yes.
Your appointment is confirmed.
So that's one quick example, and I'll bring up the SMS equivalent to that, which I did just before this. So you can see that I took it through the exact same steps, through the exact same bot, through the same number, through the same CPAS. So I'll do another example.
Medical facility in the wall. How can I help you?
What are your hours today?
Today, our hours are 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Transfer me to customer service.
Okay, please wait while I connect you to customer service.
And then I had this on silent for presentation. Hello? So that's an example of where we were able to call in, ask an automated question, then ask for a live person to do follow-up on that intent. The screen pop did appear there. I do have it so it clears out after a certain period of time, but you're able to see the information pop up on the screen to the agent just before the call was initiated to the agent. So that solves another issue with the customer experience where calls going into call centers, even today with all the technology, aren't always having the screen pops. So this is strictly cloud-based, over the top, into a web browser, connecting the active call from the CPAS to information on the agent screen. And the next step from here, of course, would be to put information about the call on this as well, besides just the call information. So I'll do the same thing again, but just in SMS, because again, I called in and asked for that. Now, the text changed here versus what I heard on the audio. On the audio, it said, please wait while we connect your call. Here, it says, you'll be called momentarily, which it called me first. It did show on the agent's screen the information about the call that was coming. And now, once I answered, the agent's phone rang, and now we're connected as well. So we were able to do the exact same thing through SMS and voice, and in this case, also add the screen pop back to the agent, which is two problems in one. So generally speaking, that's what we have in there. Of course, this can be expanded by adding more intents, feeding things off an API, which makes some of the knowledge base accessible there infinite, and again, adding more information to the screen pop, which is also a matter of time for this plan. That's basically it.
Excellent, well done, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, middle school parent lines. Come on down, please. Get yourself set up. No.
Forgot my reading glasses over there. Okay. So, you ready? Yeah, oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead and roll. Okay. All right, so go ahead and start. Yep. Hold on, let me see this here. Okay, so this is inbound call into a dialogue flow bot. The use case is I'm calling into my son's school, and there's 3 intents. One is report an absence. The other one is check to see if he has any homework assignments. And the third is connect me to a teacher. When I connect to a teacher, I connect via SMS and then create a conversation between the parent and the teacher. And then we'll change the language flag for the parent and use the Google Translate API to send in English and receive in Spanish. And then this is based off this MongoDB database that has little collections for each of these different things. So first we're going to call in, oh yeah, and I couldn't get the Translate API and the Dialog Flow API to work in the same project, so I had to use 2 computers. So the other ones over there on my hotspot. So hopefully it'll work. Okay, so we're going to dial in real quick.
Good afternoon, Mr. Johnson, and thanks for calling the Polk Street Middle School parent line. In a few words, please describe the reason for your call.
Hi, my son is out sick today and I need to report an absence.
I'm sorry to hear about that. Got it. What is the student ID?
23456.
What is the reason for your child's absence?
He has a tummy ache.
When will the absence begin?
This morning at 8 a.m.
And when will your child return to school?
Tomorrow at 8 a.m.
Thank you. We have noted the absence in our system. How else can I help you?
Does my son have any homework?
What is the student ID of the child you are inquiring about?
23456.
Bobby currently has a GPA of 3.7 and has the following homework due. History of Rocks is due on Thursday, February 6th for history class. The teacher for this class is Melissa Gilbert. How else can I help you?
I have a question for my son's teacher.
What is the name of the teacher you would like to connect to?
Mr. Jones.
What is the question you would like to ask?
Does Jimmy have science homework?
Thank you, we have sent the message to your child's teacher. How else can I help you?
I'm done. Okay, so that creates a record here in my SMS message log. And you can see there's an active message, so that's what I'm using to kind of handle communication between the parent and the teacher. So the teacher won't see the parent's number, and the parent won't see the teacher's number. So I go here, I have a text from my SANG number, and it says, Mr. Dawson has asked, does Jimmy have science homework? And I'll say something stupid like, Jimmy is flirting with girls too much. And so that'll send it in to my parent line here. And then I'm going to go over here to language. And I'm going to change this to ES. Okay, so now the parent language has been set to Spanish, so if the parent replies, see? Okay. Because it's yes, I'll say something like, Jimmy is sleeping in class, and then that'll come through here in Spanish. Eventually.
It's always the network.
Come on! That was like the coolest part. I'll try one more time. There we go. And now it comes in Spanish. So, and then one last thing, we have a little MongoDB charts app that's refresh here. So every time we contact dialog flow, we insert a record here into this database so we can sort of real-time transcript. And you may have heard earlier when I said my son's sick. He said, I'm sorry to hear that because we detected a negative sentiment. And then I took that, passed it to Watson, because Google just gives me a number. Watson gives me sadness or anger. And then I said, I'm sorry to hear that because it returns sadness. So that's the end of it.
That was excellent. Thank you so much. So we're now going to move to a showcase. So if you could get yourselves set up, yeah. We shifted things around. Now we have hacks, but also because we have geeks in the room and they're jealous, the developers get to hack and they don't. Two more. Yeah. So this one will not be judged. So you can heckle.
Well, you're probably going to judge anyways.
Well, I'll hand over to you guys, okay? Yep.
Now where actually, you know what? Yeah, but why instead of doing speech, you need a number. So this is
Oh, so I don't need that. I mean, I'm on. Take a break. Like magic.
So first of all, it's been a fantastic weekend because it's really cool to see some of the stuff that everybody's doing, and great to get a chance to sort of pick people's brains, hang out with some of the other folks, our friends from Google, people on our own teams that we don't get to see in person quite as often. So it's a fantastic weekend, and seriously, I think everything that we've seen all the teams doing is fantastic. We actually will have an application booth out on the floor show, and certainly for anybody that's still around, by all means come by. We'll show you something that we've put together, or something that we can walk through and demo at the booth, but we have a dozen, 2 dozen different things, and I think we generally love the conversations that we get in there, because sometimes it's about walking through and showing somebody how something's possible, and the art of the possible, and the kinds of things that we can do. But in other cases, somebody will come in and say, hey, I've got this problem, and we get a chance to kind of work things out on the fly, and then try and build and prototype something literally in a matter of minutes out there. And so if anybody has any sort of thoughts or something you were struggling with, I know we've worked through them for the last day or two, but by all means come by the booth, and we can roll up the sleeves and try and figure out some new things there as well. So what we had put together as something to show at the booth, and in fact there's similar shades, I think, to some of what a couple of folks have done here as well. But I'll walk through the use case that we had, and that is the ability to have a universal translator that can automatically intermediate different languages and present, for example, a full conversation automatically in one language to one person, to completely intermediate it and show it in a completely different language, the full conversation thread to the other. And that's enabled by CPaaS in terms of having the conversation, the communication side of it be intercepted through our CPaaS APIs. The translation, we've leveraged some of Google's natural language APIs to do that. We built in some integration directly into our contact center platform. So we've leveraged our widget API. And part of, I think, the driver behind that was not just to be able to intermediate conversations and translate the languages, but to also do it to solve a specific kind of problem, which is what happens if you have a customer of ours that has maybe a contact center with 50 agents that only speak English, but they want to be able to serve customers in any language. This would allow them to extend and scale that set of unilingual agents out to an entire planet of multilingual customers sort of beyond the walls. And so this actually allows that, and we have a widget tied into our Oceana platform that allows that side of the conversation to fully extend into the contact center side, and everything that comes out the other end flows through and is automatically translated. And we have multilingual transcripts going into the Oceana side and some nifty things there. And for fun, for extra credit, we sort of hand-built ourselves a machine learning probabilistic classifier to do sentiment analysis, because we wanted to do it natively, right within the script. So we're using like a naive Bayes algorithm to do sentiment classification and automatically do supervisor escalation based on the sentiment. So if something goes negative, automatically trigger a supervisor into the conversation, and in theory, we've actually built it out so that that supervisor can even join in a third language, and it'll real-time retranslate the entire thread of the conversation into that third language. And the way that we've designed it is that we've built effectively a web mirroring of the entire thread of conversation as well. So from the website, it's basically an Ajax Comet mechanism that sort of real-time synchronizes the conversation as it's happening and translates it, the sentiment, classifies it on the fly as well. So that's the stuff that's under the hood, but maybe it's more fun to actually just show you how it works. So what we'll do as a starting point, we actually have, you're going to do the Spanish side?
My name's Andrew, but since I'll be the Spanish role here, I'll be Andres.
Andres.
The rest of the demo.
And so what Andreas is going to do is he's going to kick off a conversation, and we've actually set it up so that when something comes inbound, it will automatically do the language detection and say, he's talking in Spanish. Because of the way that we expose APIs into our contact center platform, we didn't necessarily do this for the demo. We tried to keep it a little more sort of straightforward and not make it overly complicated, but we could very easily leverage our attribute routing, sort of dip in and say, hey, he's in Spanish, but we actually do have a bank of Spanish agents, and we can pull one of those specific agents in. In our case, we tried to keep it simple and just sort of say, just pump everything into the same queue and do it in English when it comes into the contact center. So he's going to text something in.
So maybe this isn't the most prominent use case of what you would text into your agent, but since I'm a nice guy, I'm going to say, how are you?
Because he's friendly. And just to notice, sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, so I'm the customer in this role.
Yeah. And we're actually seeing both halves of the threaded conversation. So as I said, this is the Ajax comment piece that sort of mirrors it all in real time. The right side, effectively, is everything that the contact center agent would see. And they'll see the entire conversation threaded in their language. And the other side of it is what the customer will see. So he's just using a standard iPhone messages, just sending a text message. Yeah, which is a good point. We don't want to time it out here. So you see we've got a text that came into the agent. It says, how are you? And probably the important thing to note here is there is nothing different about this. This is our standard Workspaces contact center client. This just comes in as a standard message, but of course you notice that it came in English, and that was obviously not the language that it originally was sent in. So the agent can then say, I am fine. How can I help you? So they can fully interact back and forth. They can continue the thread. And in fact, I can actually sort of show you over here. By the way, you've seen it's, again, intermediated that conversation. It will have sent this back via the SMS channel. That's what I typed, but it's going to automatically translate it back and forth. Because again,
if anyone doesn't believe me, I'll be glad to hang up the phone at that one here. But it did say it came back and translated it.
And in fact, we can take your phone number and we can set this up in here as well. But what's sort of interesting in here is, as I said, we've also built in a fully integrated widget, and the widget can store the transcript of both halves of the conversation automatically within the contact center side. So this is integrated right inside our contact center platform. But from an agent standpoint, again, they don't have to think about it. All they have to do is just work in their native language. But again, what gets seen on the other side is of course a little bit different. Do we maybe want to do like a straight texting one? We could show this.
No, should I trigger the?
Yeah, maybe
should we have a conversation go south here?
We'll trigger it once we've got a direct conversation. So what we'll do here is, and we've got a way of sort of triggering it off manually, because again, we want to make sure there was no smoke and mirrors, and we could actually, in theory, do this fully independent of having a contact center sort of solution in the middle. In theory, this could just work back and forth as a translator between two SMS. Now, I'm going to actually pull this up here. What it will have done at this point is I just kicked off a brand new conversation between these two, and they can now, independent of anything else, carry on a real-time translated text conversation. And I'm going to pull up the panel here so that we can actually see, but I'm going to do something else as well. As I'm going to pull up a little real-time sentiment classifier up in the corner. So I love life. You want to text something back. And again, you can come up and inspect their phones if you don't believe this, but everything they're seeing on their devices is 100% translated into their native languages.
I also have a very limited Spanish vocabulary, so you got like 3-word, 4-word sentences.
Yeah, we were doing a lot of "I love dogs" and some pretty simple phrases. Now, you notice as soon as he said something bad, it turned negative, and
I get a text on my phone, saying negative conversation sentiment. Now, obviously, you might not want to just notify the person that's involved in the conversation, but imagine I'm set up somewhere where I'm an admin and I need to be notified. Right?
Yeah, so we actually triggered, that automatically triggered as soon as the sentiment went south. It didn't just show us in real time, but it actually triggered us as supervisors. And I was able to click a link, and as you can see, it basically gives me a threaded view. I can break into their threaded conversation. But I can actually do some sort of nifty things as well. I'll show you here just as an example. So let's say that I was looking at the Spanish form of the conversation. Let's say that I was the supervisor, but I didn't speak Spanish. So I could actually just go in and say, well, actually I'm a Japanese speaker. So I could follow the conversation, break in, and maybe tell the agent what they're supposed to say so that they can just give them a free coupon or a 2-for-1 sale, make them happy. But if I have to do that in another language, it doesn't even have to be one of the original ones. I can completely do it on the fly. And if, for example, if you sort of text something back, maybe again, even as that conversation sort of continues, it will, for the supervisor that's broken in, they'll have the ability to...
Is this the 7 of your text? Oh, I texted the wrong number. That was good.
Were this a real demo? But you know.
So
So as soon as he texts back into the conversation, so even though this is now another language, the supervisor, in theory, again, in a third language even, can continue to follow the conversation through. And I don't know what you said, but I could go back into English and preview it. And you know, and as I said, we've built sentiment classification right in, and actually a couple of other nifty things in addition to the supervisor escalation. We've got the ability to do some auto redaction, to have trigger words. For example, here if I want to say something about unicorns, dogs, puppies, whatever it is. We actually have the ability. Now we have to see if you can say unicorns in Spanish. That's the real test of this. But we can actually go in and sort of real-time trigger certain things out of the conversation and say, oh, this action has happened. In this case, the shameless action was to say something nice about puppy dogs. But shamelessly, you know, we did the dog trigger, and that could then be a subsequent trigger that we could use to, you know, do a rest call, trigger a supervisor, you know, do anything else from that standpoint.
And nobody actually likes cats, so that's why the negative sentiment is getting triggered there.
There you go. Great. And again, you know, we have the entire conversation sort of triggered and mirrored within the Oceana side, so that from a contact center point of view, you know, those agents have the ability to fully follow that thread of conversation right within the contact center side, regardless of one of 100 languages that might be coming in from the outside world. So that's it.
Excellent. Well done, guys. Just checking, we should have just 2 more teams, Health News Now and Uvaya. I'm not missing anybody else, am I? Good. Nothing worse than basically somebody else putting their hand up and saying, you've forgotten me. So the Health News Now team, are you ready?
I'm grabbing.
Yep.
1 minute. Is that Dale available? Did we ever get Dale?
We will goodbye, guys. Are you good to go? Yeah. You're not going to be last the same time.
Okay.
Go on.
You're forgiving. Thank you guys. I appreciate your help.
Yeah. Don't tell me. It's a PC.
If not, we can use plastics.
I know it's very ready now. Yeah, HDMI is pretty good.
You have this.
Oh, it's display ball?
Yeah, display.
This is Kuvaya. Let me get my photo. I have to get a photo of that. That's a great logo.
Yeah, go ahead. Get a photo.
Awesome. Perfect, guys. Go for it.
Okay, are we ready to go? Cameras rolling? Okay. Hi, my name is John Zeklin.
David Anderson.
Plastic Walker. And we build something we call Guvaya. We actually built kind of two things. The first thing is a connector between Dialogflow and the Avaya SMS services that is generic enough that it can be used in many, many use cases. And then we built a little bot on top of that that serves the needs of the community and St. Mary's Food Bank. So we're going to show that on phone. So the way the bot works is we have a number that anyone can text if they want information about how they can help in their community and specifically help St. Mary's Food Bank. So David's going to demonstrate that now. Folks in the room, sorry you can't see it, but we'll show it on the...
So I'm texting info, and for all the people on the live stream. So we'll reply back with a list of things that you can do with the bot. Text St. Mary's. This is a really horrible demo for everybody in here, but on the next
Sorry,
screen,
people in the room.
It'll be a lot better on the next screen, so
Yeah.
everybody else can try it.
Getting better, it'll get better.
Live stream. So if I want to donate.
So basically, the bot will interact with you. If you would like to donate to St. Mary's Food Bank, it will help you do that. If you would like to volunteer your time, I know they have a lot of needs for volunteers in the food bank itself, sorting food, just with their operations in general. So any of those things, you can sort of get help. The bot can help you find ways that you can help St. Mary's. And this is a diagram of kind of how our system works. And that number is active right now. Anyone can text it. We built Guvaya to be scalable, so it's running right now in a Google Cloud instance, and anyone can text it. If you text info, you can start interacting with it. The unique thing about it that we really wanted to make sure we implemented was uniqueness. So each of you, if you're texting it right now, you're creating a unique session with Dialogflow, and you're having your own conversation. And it's not going to get mixed up with everyone else's conversation, which is good. So the way it works, this is you on the left-hand side. I think that's how most of you look like that. So you send a text. The text goes through Avaya. That's an Avaya phone number that we set up. We've set up a webhook that then sends that message through to our Guvaya middleware. That handles the API call into Dialogflow, and then Dialogflow responds with whatever the response from the bot is, and then it goes back through the message broker, and then an API call is sent back through Avaya to reply to you. And that's kind of the data flow. And again, we're managing sessions so that each of you has a unique session with the Dialogflow bot, and you're actually having your own conversation with the bot. Like I said, we built this to be sort of generic and scalable, and that's what we spent most of our time on. It's more depth than breadth, I would say. So yeah, the code that we wrote for that middleware, it's scalable. The version we're using for this demo is deployed to Google Cloud instance, but it could easily be deployed to a Google Cloud function as well, which would make it extremely scalable. It's written in Python with Flask, and it's fairly straightforward and easy to use. The idea here is that anytime you want to build an SMS connected bot with Avaya and Dialogflow, this middleware gives you a really easy place to start. All you should have to do is start plugging in some of your credentials. Plug in your your Google credentials so that it can make API calls, plug in your Avaya credentials so that it can make API calls, and copy paste your webhook URL, and you're off and running. Which is something we noticed when we started. There's sort of a gap. If you Google how to hook up Avaya SMS with Dialogflow, there's really not a lot of answers on the internet. And even in the room, it was like, yeah, you can kind of do it, you know, do this, this, and this, but there really isn't a lot of good information readily available, which, when it comes down to it, the solution is actually quite simple, and our goal was to just sort of abstract that into something that's very easy to use and reuse and scale almost infinitely. That's it.
Excellent. Well done, Perfect. Okay, so health news now, guys. Come on down. This is the final one because we're getting very tight on time. So once we've done this, then Philip, Brian, Medi's around. We'll then head up to room 130. So just go down to the room where the coffee was hiding, probably this morning, and we'll get the judging sorted out. Okay, and then we'll come back here, hopefully by 3:30 to announce the winners. And for those that have asked for tickets to Avaya Engage, I'm hoping to have them by then. The person has promised me he'll bring them down. I'm just reconfirming that.
Hi, everybody. Ready? Stand by. 3 and action. Okay. So our project is we made an app called Health News Now, and this is a healthcare app that allows you to register for local news alerts for illnesses that you care about. So one of the things that we were discussing was the CDC has a lot of things about the coronavirus, but they weren't really updating them. And there are a lot of these news reports where you hear about confirmed cases. So wouldn't it be good if you could get some information about illnesses you care about or things that may be potential dangers that you can get sent to your phone? So you come to the application and register, and it'll ask you to sign up with your name, phone number, and then the region that you care about. So in this case, he's going to put my number, which is 602-586-6240. Yep. And then he is going to enter a city here, which is in this case will be Kansas, because I want to see what's going on. So once I proceed to sign up, you'll see that there are some known illnesses that I can pick. And these were the ones that we've pretty much found from the CDC's website. For some reason, they categorize vaping lung disease as an illness, which I don't quite know why, since it's self-inflicted, but it's there. So we'll pick a few illnesses. In this case, we'll maybe pick the coronavirus in this case. And once I submit, what happens is I will create a user profile. I will go ahead and create an account with my topics that I'm interested in, and then we will also use Avaya's CPAS to send SMS messages, and right now my phone is receiving a lot of messages, and I'm getting notifications saying, thank you for signing up for Health News Now. Here's an update on the coronavirus, and it's giving me a link to the article showing me what's happening. So it's taking me to a Google News article that I can then see that there's a possible coronavirus update in Lawrence, Kansas, and health officials are investigating. So it's an easy way for us to keep it informed.
basically just text you these links and the titles.
So we also have the page that will always have your latest alerts for your user. So in terms, this is very, very bare bones. We used Google Cloud's APIs. We also used the Google Cloud's data store, Firestore, to be able to store the user information. Things that we would like to do later would be to use things like Dialogflow to be able to parse, to have commands so you can turn these things off, these alerts on or off. Because maybe you don't necessarily want to receive alerts all the time and freak yourself out. We just didn't get to it in the time allotted. So Andrew's going to be able to send himself some as well. Any questions?
That was excellent, guys. Well done. Okay, so that's it in terms of pictures. Again, well done. They were excellent. Really pleased with the results that were both generated here and remotely. We managed to get through quite a few trials and tribulations. So, whoever Brian is, there he is, Philip, and whoever else, let's go down to one first, okay? So, being accurate, 3:30. Yeah, I mean, go 3:30 back in. Okay, we'll fix it. All right. Okay. Absolutely. That's what.
These teams are working on it. Yeah, we do like I set up like virtual or whatever. Our team has a chat room. So Google just uses everybody's on it's like just got
a lot of them my evening guys see what's happening with that.
Oh, we pointed it to
yeah, we do the same thing. Still had a question at night.
So you're running it out.
Oh, yeah. We'll tell them something going on.
And then you just submit.
Yeah, this
my team that seems more than that.
Yeah, we're like,
okay.
You just put hundreds.
Yeah, I'm in the founders group, but also
Yeah, I guess
to start thumb down sentiment. That was the next thing we were going to do. Just didn't have time to do that. That's I would like to do that. Right here at switch topics.
So Hammer was like hundreds of groups, but they never like walked in to do anything. It was like Facebook almost.
And it's what they're, well, it's supposed to be Facebook competitors.
Well, the funny thing was that the most popular group on it was video game groups. And they got in trouble because they said that designed for everyone to talk about the best game worst specific and and have people chatting like, oh, I was it. I was it. And it was like, we're getting really good interaction with the phone for it, but it's not business at all, really. So like, wait, you wanted to use this, and now you tell us to use this.
To aggregate that and it'll give
them a link. Care, like refining which things I care about.
You're like, it's one less thing for you to say.
Well, that's exactly.
But no, this is awesome because like we're gonna be doing this.
Yeah, it's
And I even got the color copy now.
interesting.
Yeah, totally got it.
Yeah, they do the exact same thing that Mike says.
You're not gonna send it out after the thing?
They all got thumb drives.
We get thumb drives ours, we're getting, you know. Oh, that's awesome. I'll take it back. We're gonna definitely be getting a bunch of this.
So, voice messages, issue your calls, so forth. That's a message.
Our working here, it's here plugged up there. Until we get security violation.
So yeah, the thumb drive that had the PowerPoint, they had a bunch of like build serves.
Oh, you had local search stuff on there? Yeah, we know. I was doing all that manually. Typing the CSR commands. Email it to the file. Yeah, picture of you is better than that. Somebody posted on that thing over there?
Yeah. You jerk.
Does it show you who posted it or have a name? I joined it.
Yeah.
That's the picture. I'm like, this is from like 6 years ago. Like it worked. You don't look like that anymore.
Yeah, they're throwing a lot because that's work with those keywords. That is really cool.
Where you click the upload video.
So like a lot of levels here. So really, we're based on
Look, we're going to go to the apartment.
Well, listening to every
Here we go.
thing.
Yeah, so
It's all Wizard of Oz, turn people back. The area, he just have a text copy. Yeah, that's the. No, I actually do.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's fine.
The other one. No, for sure. I definitely know what works at the end. That was like, that's the answer. That's just all tied in like literally 2 minutes. Exactly. It says the text together. Yeah. That was fun. That's a good one. They say 1 minute to the minute. The second we came inside. Yeah. we needed the
Yeah. I don't know where.
Loading the article, the last part was just like, once the article.
Tell them it's ready.
Just out of curiosity, because the thing I spent on figuring out how to get that working on these happened. Yeah, we haven't. No. Using Apple for it. And I read this. When you were doing the integration with Flex, you know the sheet or just like,
So I think one of the issues is that message size was probably text messages. Yeah. To limit one of the problems we ran into was like chunk messages. Yeah. And sometimes we would get an URL as part of something. Oh, when it would be chunk the URL shell stuff.
We need like a short.
So I think so I think the URL short. Would be so awesome. Like if I could, it's part of that's
I went out there on one of the terrace, so it was like, man, it's pretty nice. Not like that back home.
It's just the nature of the character.
For sure, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it's a character. Yeah. So I think, yeah. So if we made it, it's pretty slow. Yeah.
Right? It's like a habit. You know? They can go everywhere.
Yeah, all the time. Like, how we talk about this way, we'll have reformat your messaging. For sure. Yeah, I think that would be awesome. Do you have the notes that absolutely. I would totally do that. Because it's, yeah. Yeah, if we can, would it be better if, for example, you sent it to a buy and just parses it, right? Swaps out the page.
I mean, that's the service.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
It's like you market it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
in SMS, so that, yeah, absolutely.
That's a service that through you run into the wise we charge. Any we charge you how to get it.
For sure. That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good idea. Thank you. I'm going to actually try to do that now. Yeah, so that was no, that's actually great. Yeah, so that's our
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Just most of my
yes, but really, ideally, you don't run it through ideally, you just run it yeah, you have to do it yeah, I think we were close. We just didn't
yeah, TDPs, yeah.
That is very, very nice.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Buttons are so cool.
Buttons are great. Like, it's really like keypad. Buttons are on the So, yeah, thank you very much. That's why I really
Hey, can you take a picture of us? Absolutely. I got a camera right here. You can just stand over there. It's just us. Good?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna.
So, working like this.
Can you take another one? I don't know.
Actually, that's what I got.
Okay. Oh, you did? So, like what I said, with the post and set? It was a different issue.
Yeah, we made a GitHub project.
Yeah.
Oh, you're fine. Right now, we need to transfer. Okay.
I think they want the
What I'll do is I'll rename it as link so that way it's like just enable this.
Oh, that's so cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
That's so I love the script that they do have those but I was like, if it's that sophisticated, why can't it just fix it? You know, it's like, yeah, the Google API is weird because everything you use, you have to just click the enable button first, which is like, it seems like a weird extra step. And that's kind of
Is there like a task?
there wasn't there were enabling steps. So they had and then they left out all sorts of package it's like was that in the upper package? No. Yeah, so it's called by the judges which, oh, okay, so in other PHP environments, it's just arrow. But in the app engine, it's all be with your girl, with girl.
He's like an art director.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little thing.
Everything is all around. It's a gap.
Yeah, it's like, sometimes the smallest little utilities, one of the biggest, like, Chrome's ad blocker. And that was a one-man project for like 10 years. But everyone uses it.
Tickets, you can't really market that.
It's not even that complicated. I mean, it's gotten more complicated over the years, but the first 10 revisions of it, it was just like come back for and it was just this one guy, and he did it for free, and just said, donate money and give it to me. Oh yeah, you can update or donate.
Why don't you just put the link in there? Put it in and run the,
Okay, so did you find him or you need me to track him? Eugene.
I need to get someone here, but.
Okay, I'll go start. He's in such high demand, it'll take him 3 hours to walk from the other side.
Yeah. That's fine.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is no big deal. Like, I would fix that. Yeah, I know. I just don't think it's probably not down there. It's our practice. And especially like she is. Oh, just like oh, yeah. You are the hero of the hour, dude. Yeah,
So what I'm going to do is the right
Logos and front
We're tracking down for you.
Thanks, Vinny, for
I used to have one of those little buttons on it. Is it the latest thousand name that like you can print yourself?
Nice job, Nick. Thank you. That's good stuff. So which one? You're on tomorrow? No, I
Yeah, because you can only use that. Let me see. I didn't realise. I thought you had your tickets up. Yeah, I never did see it. Okay, let me just quickly. No, it's a tough one. Just that. Just have 2 names. This is asking too much. Okay. MOTB, so.
Yeah, I'm Daryl. I am registered.
So it's Joe. Okay. So I'll just text it to you now. Is that okay?
Are you registered for the conference? Yeah.
But it's
my colleagues here just for the hack. Yeah.
So, yeah, but I just texting it to you now. It's because it's a Google Chrome thing. More learning is different.
I can type it into the text. I say those messages get more frequent between now and then.
Right, just give me 1 second to get the name of the guy. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Because they also need email. I can put it next to it. Okay, let's do that. Okay, sorry.
Alan, I know you're busy setting up.
Picture of your bike.
Absolutely, no problem.
So we do one giant arch.
Hey, closer.
Switch together.
Can you get the signs on the side?
I have to get the signs on the side. Colin, over there. There's a gap. There you go.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. And then you can squeeze in a little bit. Perfect. Excellent. Smile, look at the camera. No, look very clear. I need to reboot my phone. No. Just stop the. Okay, you go. That's it. Good. Perfect. Great. I'll get them uploaded, okay? So you can download them later today.
Thank you. Good. Everyone?
Some of them here. Because I forgot to do it. Some I know like before, lunchtime, I'm trying to grab it. But we can do it.
Let's do it.
Okay. Group pick, everyone. Down here. Group pick. Everyone down. Group pick. Quick guys. Group pick. Group pick. Come on. Everyone down.
You want me to take it so you can mail it?
That's true,
That would be
actually,
cool.
All guys in the back. That's the rule, sorry.
Did you get your screen any dirtier? Oh.
All right. Oh, got one more coming in, Eugene. There you go.
There's the, there you go.
1, 2, 3. You do one more?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
You let the pro do it.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, he's got a bigger camera.
Well, you have them on your phone now.
Now that's a camera.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Professional.
I say, is that OSHA approved over there?
Gene, come on, get
Right.
A little tighter.
Okay. Now good. Good.
Thanks,
Greek.
Thank you.
Dan, you put your name and your email?
Yeah.
Okay, and the +1?
Yep. Yeah. I did that too.
So I also sent you an email about the source, the repo. You can just fork it.
Send it over.
They've got the pictures they got on the phone, he's gonna put them on the laptop.
That's it?
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, it'll be up there in a little bit.
Hey. Everything's going smooth, thanks for the nice digs. Could be in the same hotel I was in the last time I was at an event here, it felt like home. Oh, yeah. That's perfect. Yes, I am. Welcome, Samantha by name. Honestly, I need that. Do you remember, were you around when we comes out, we got every year, center symposium. So it's everybody starts chatting COVID. No.
Essentially, they're better we collaborate with Reno firmware.
Heads up? Yep, that's right. And of course, you heard it.
We're in shape. He knew all the Avaya people for the most part.
Yeah, that's what it's so bad. Yeah, that's
Surprise when it's now, so take your seats. No, round it. You stand in the middle there. Ryan. You all over it.
True, I guess I think it's a little harder.
Yeah. All right, everyone. I don't know if you want to guys want to film anything. I'm not sure.
Okay, marketing guys, in position.
Is there a microphone?
Oh.
Take it away. Oh, yeah, you can use that.
Yeah.
Is this better?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is that,
Maybe why don't we put this on the side here, where I can use the branding perspective.
Yeah, just put it right behind there.
Put it where?
There you go. There you go.
Awesome. Thank you. That's on there. So again, thank you everyone for giving us your weekend and spending us at Avaya's first ever hackathon. And again, thanks for Brian and the Google team for being here and sponsoring us. So guys, we're excited. We've had a great couple of days. So I appreciate everyone doing what they did and working through yesterday and the nights for the ones that you did and today as well. Presentations were phenomenal. Some of the stuff were just great to see, some of the applications that folks came up with. So we've gone through and looked at everyone's presentation. It was a very difficult kind of choices to make. But nevertheless, we arrived at looked at some great presentations. So we're going to go through the different categories. So for first category is the St. Mary's Food Bank. And I think you guys saw that we wanted to address their concerns. So in that category, Guvaya, you guys are the winners. For that.
And that was the best name too, by the way.
That's great. Yeah, for sure. Thank you. That's fantastic. Thank you very much.
That's it, yeah. And
So what are we
in the
coming
middle
here?
there,
Well,
between the two logos.
Between the two logos here, yeah. Here, we'll hand over the cash. You guys, one of you guys grab it here. There you go. Thank you. So congratulations. That's wonderful. Well done.
More pictures. Now these are Amex vouchers, are they? Or?
Yeah, they're Amex vouchers.
Amex vouchers, yeah. So you'll have to work out how to chop up the fourth one, I'm afraid.
Oh, okay.
And did you announce it?
We haven't done, we just did one so far.
No, prize money.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was
so that's $4,000.
$4,000 was So for education, we have one here. Actually, I don't think we have. I don't think we've got our winner. Oh, there he is. Okay, that's all. There you go. I was going to say, where giveaway. So for the education one, Carousel and Steve Drew, you guys did fantastic on your middle school application. So congratulations. There you go. Good. Thank you.
Excellent.
How much was that? $4,000. That's right. So drinks are on those guys tonight. So for we also had another category for healthcare, and in this one we had a great number of people that participated. But Nick, your presentation was fantastic. Your EKG, so congratulations. Again, another $4,000. Sweet. So we didn't have all the categories filled in, so we also had a difficult time choosing all the categories because everything in the presentation was really good. So we wanted to give an honorable mention to a couple of folks for us. So MRT, your presentation was fantastic in terms of what you used and all the applications you provided. So we wanted to give you guys a prize for everything that you put together for that. So thank you. There you go. See you guys. So this is a $1,500 prize for honorable mention. So well done, guys. Thank you.
And it's just going to be the two of you.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's right. Because we have a yes, and we also have a remote winner. It was the first presenter we had today from the remote. Was it
Mike Hens.
Mike Hens, and his presentation was fantastic. So Mike, if you're on live stream, congratulations. Where you go, $1,500 coming your way. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Well done. Dory, Michael, give us his address. Great. So that's it. So that's it. That's a wrap. So for the people that are looking for the extra tickets, Eugene, when will you have those extra tickets I SMS'd you?
Give me about 10 minutes.
10 minutes, so just hang on for 10 minutes and he'll have the extra tickets, okay? Looking after you. So that's it. I'll get the weblog up, hopefully tonight. With some initial sort of just time-coded pieces of the video. We'll get it all chopped up, looking pretty, hopefully within the next day or two.
The tomorrow session.
Yes. Brian has just reminded me, we have at 2:15 tomorrow a session that's going to be on this side, upstairs. I'll send you the details. Guvaya, are you available to present at 2:15 tomorrow? Yeah, that's fine. Excellent.
That's one of the great things.
just about here, second floor, 232.
Close that to the
Yeah, oh yeah, I'll send you the details, don't worry.
All three of us.
Are you available at 2:15? I'll send you the details. It's 232, so it's just 222A upstairs, 2:15.
As long as you get us that homework.
Are you available to tomorrow?
Yes, I will be here.
I'll be fine. And Nick, are you available?
Unfortunately, I'm flying on tonight, but I might be able to join remotely to,
Okay, let's see what we can do with that. Okay, so this will have 3 in person, and we can try to squeeze you and Mike Hens in, because we've got an hour-long session, so it's just to get those pictures and that and fill it up with them.
yeah, just send me the details so we can join.
Yeah, 2:15, and we'll get that sorted.
I was just at team, so.
Excellent. So once again, thank you so much, guys, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Take care. Thank you so much, Eugene. Sure.
The only thing I'm there you go, man.
SMS, sorry.
Thank you. I always see you. Okay. That's my card now. Thank you.
Yeah. I need your details again. Oh no, the bill failed.
Okay. Yes.
Do you know, is it like a suite level? Is it like such? Do you know if there's anything like that involved? Yeah. Is there food there? All right, cool.
I hear the food is going to be really, really good.
Nice. I was going to, the event for this evening is cooking some HelloFresh chicken leg sandwich chimichurri, but I think this would be worth going to. And
it's okay, it's coming.
TV show your games. Secure it. We need to show them on the big screen.
So it's 2 separate tickets for Dan and for Paris. That's his plus one. Okay. That's how we get it. You're right, going to
So I'll send it and I'll be back down there.
thank you so much.
Got coaching? No, I can't hear you.
Okay, all right.
So it was just last internet.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, because it's a Chrome device, I remembered and I've done fuck you. Right, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.